to thank everybody for being here for our press conference, our End the Pain press conference held at the Moscone Center during the American Academy of Pediatrics 2016 convention. With me are a large group of intactivists, as well as two other speakers, Nikki Sawyers, who's here, introducing her in a moment, and Lloyd Schofield. So thank you again, everybody, for coming. Intact America is the largest anti-circumcision organization in the world. We have almost about 800 short of 50,000 people on Facebook. We have a newsletter and website with approximately 30,000 individuals who receive our mailings all the time. And we have hundreds of thousands of visitors who come to our website and our Facebook page every month. Last January, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommended that hospitals should limit the number of painful procedures performed on newborns because repeated exposure to pain can affect the baby's brain development and the baby's stress response system. The AAP said even simple procedures like a heel prick to draw blood is traumatic. We were stunned that the AAP did not take the next logical step and tell doctors and hospitals to stop circumcising baby boys. How can you compare a heel prick to a surgical procedure that has absolutely no therapeutic value? It's not medically necessary. There's no safe or effective anesthesia. It cuts off a natural and valuable part of a baby's sexual anatomy. And most appalling, the baby cannot consent. The baby is not sick. There's nothing wrong with the baby, and the baby cannot consent to this procedure. To right this wrong, Intact America mounted a petition drive to push the AAP to end the pain. We were aiming for 10,000 signatures, and so far we have 11,370 signatures on this petition. We asked the AAP to meet with us here in San Francisco, and they refused. We wanted to present them with the petition. We asked them to meet with us in Elk Grove, Illinois. We said we would meet at their convenience. We would travel to meet with them, and they refused. So that's why we're here holding a press conference in front of the Moscone Center to tell the AAP to end the pain and stop circumcising baby boys. The public also needs to know that it is a myth that the AAP recommends circumcision. They do not. This spring, in the journal Pediatrics, a member of the AAP task force, Dr. Andrew Friedman, published a paper, a commentary, that said that the AAP policy had been misinterpreted as saying that the benefits outweighed the risk, that the medical benefits, that what he was really talking about, that what they were really talking about were the cultural benefits. We say the AAP has no business conducting cultural surgery on healthy babies. The AAP has discounted the risks of circumcision to justify its call for insurers and Medicaid to pay doctors to carry out the procedure, which generates approximately $2 billion in revenue every year for doctors and hospitals. The risks of circumcision are significant. The true risk of newborn circumcision is not known because it's never been systematically studied, as the AAP admits in its papers. At least 2 out of 10 circumcisions have immediate complications, and the number is much, much higher over childhood and over the lifetime of the man that is circumcised. You don't know until a child is a man and sexually active about the sexual damage that circumcision causes to baby boys who then become men. There are no benefits to circumcision, none. Circumcision does not protect against HIV. American cemeteries are full of men who died of AIDS who were circumcised. Circumcision does not protect against other STDs, and it does nothing to make a man or a boy or a population healthier. Populations, males in Europe and countries that do not circumcise have better health status than American men, and none of their men are circumcised. The AAP policy does not acknowledge that that the foreskin is an integral part of the male anatomy. When you cut off the foreskin, you rob an adult man of 14 to 15 square inches of erogenous tissue that is far more sensitive than the glands, the head of the penis, that the foreskin protects. You also rob the adult man's sexual partners of enjoying the foreskin's natural lubrication and ability to glide in and out that makes sex more pleasurable for men and for women. Joining me today at this press conference are two people who will explain how the pain of circumcision lasts a lifetime. First, we'll hear from Nikki Sawyers, a mother from Pennsylvania, who will talk about her harrowing experience after her baby was born and how doctors and nurses coerced her into circumcising her son. Nikki?
Thank you, Georganne. Hello, everyone. My name is Nikki Sawyers, and I'm a regret mom. A regret mom is a mother who let a doctor circumcise her baby boy before she knew the facts. A regret mom suffers because she didn't know anything until it was already too late. And most mothers that I speak to say they would never have allowed it had they known the facts. Why are parents not being given the facts? Circumcision hurts. It hurts the baby. But it doesn't just hurt the baby. It hurts the mother, the family. It keeps on hurting. It doesn't stop. When my son was first born, he was laid on my chest. Within those first initial intimate moments of trying to breastfeed, one of the doctor's first questions was, "You're circumcising, right?" I shook my head no, and I looked around like, this is my first meeting with my baby, and he already wants to do this to my son, and I didn't understand why. My instinct told me no, it doesn't need to be done. I didn't know anything about circumcision. I didn't know anything about remaining intact, good or bad. But my instinct said, no, it's unnecessary. Well, the next morning, after I had already said no, another doctor came in, standing over me with a clipboard. He woke me up at 7:30 in the morning, and I remember him fast talking, and I was confused, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought, well, if they're really recommending this, if they're really trying this hard, then me knowing nothing and me trusting these doctors who took care of me throughout my pregnancy, I never thought that they would not present the facts. Well, my baby came back. He was pale. His eyes were bloodshot. He had a hernia from screaming. One of the things I remember the doctor saying was, they don't feel it. He won't feel a thing. He was nursing beautifully before they took him. When they brought him back, he didn't even want to look at me. Circumcision interferes with breastfeeding and can rob the mother and the baby an opportunity to bond as it were meant. None of my doctors discussed circumcision with me during my pregnancy, none. Not a mention. They had already made the decision for my son, it seems. It was life-changing trauma to learn what circumcision really is. To see those images and picture my son strapped to a board, crying. When I stumbled across the information online, I did everything I could to learn the facts. I watched videos, I cried, I couldn't sleep. I tried to talk to people about it. I found intactivist organizations such as Intact America, and I read everything I could, but it was already too late. I don't want other mothers to suffer and babies to suffer, such as I and my son have. I now reach out to other moms. I'm up all hours of the night talking to them, comforting them. They can't talk about this with anyone else. I want to thank Intact America for all it has done and how it has taken the topic of circumcision out of the closet and bringing it to the public. The public has to learn the facts and stop the insanity. The AAP needs to know that circumcision can destroy a family and that it must stop. I add my voice to the 10,000 people who signed the petition and all of you with us today. Knowing the truth, I'll never be the same. My life is forever changed. The AAP must tell doctors to end the pain and stop circumcising baby boys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nikki. The next speaker we have with us today is Lloyd Schofield from Bay Area Intactivists. And Lloyd is going to talk about the pain of circumcision.
Is this good? Can you hear me? We really could speak here for weeks about the pain of circumcision, but I want to focus on a friend of mine who devoted his life to ending that pain so others wouldn't suffer. And I'm going to read pretty much from my speech here because most of it is quotations directly from him. This t-shirt I'm wearing is a picture of him, Jonathan Conti. We're told that men don't care about this issue, circumcision. But there are many thousands of men across the country who do care. Today I want to tell you about one of them, my good friend Jonathan Conti. He touched so many during his short time on Earth. I started working with him when we were working together on the San Francisco ballot initiative to limit circumcision and protect baby boys as baby girls are protected. Jonathan jumped in and became our most hardworking and successful volunteer. He was the best at whatever intactivism he applied himself to. He was an incredible communicator because he cared so deeply about human rights. When I felt I couldn't keep going, Jonathan is what kept me going. He was a rock. I'd like to share some statements he made about forced genital mutilation, euphemistically called circumcision. These are direct quotes. When I was about 14 years old, I learned that part of my penis had been cut off. I was never taught about normal male anatomy, and no one ever explained to me that I had undergone genital surgery as an infant. When I learned the devastating truth, my stomach sank and my throat closed up. I grew up figuring that the soreness brought on by clothing and masturbation were normal aspects of being a guy. I never questioned why so many types of underwear are painful. I only found it strange that anyone could manage to wear them. I battled with depression, particularly whenever I had to see my penis. Each time that I got undressed to take a shower, I would see the scar, and I would be reminded of what was stolen from me. A wound that was planned, bought, and sold. Jonathan lost his job a week after his opposition to human genital mutilation was documented in the San Francisco Chronicle. He then devoted himself full-time to speaking out so that others would not have to endure the physical and psychological pain that he did. Eventually, the lies, myths, and denial perpetrated by those at the AAP who practice, promote, and profit from genitally mutilating healthy children were too much to bear. and he took his own life in May. I urge those ethical members of the AAP, and we know there are many, to speak up strongly against those within the organization who use terms like do no harm and informed consent merely as marketing slogans. They hypocritically speak out about early childhood trauma while they themselves routinely inflict it. The AAP is out of step with every other medical organization in the civilized world on this issue. Hopefully those that torture, abuse, and mutilate vulnerable and unconsenting patients will soon be held accountable for their crimes. Thank you.
Thank you to Nikki and thank you to Lloyd so much for speaking so personally of the pain of circumcision. I want to thank everybody else who's here at this press conference. I want to help the people who help Intact America to organize such events. I want to honor Marilyn Milos, who's here, who's the founder of the movement against male genital mutilation. I want to thank all of the people who come out regularly for these protests, who write, who weigh in on Facebook, who weigh in on electronic media and in print media, who write blog posts, who respond to articles written perpetuating the myths and lies about circumcision. Without this growing movement, we would all feel very lonely in our conviction that the pain and mutilation that infant circumcision entails is a lifelong trauma and a societal-wide trauma in the United States of America. Again, thank you all for coming. We're ready to meet with the AAP, as we have said. We'll be delivering our petition of 11,370 signatures, or as many as we continue to get between now and the time it's delivered. We'll be delivering it to the AAP shortly. We'll let you know. We'll request them to meet with us again. If they refuse, we'll continue to offer to speak with them. The AAP needs to realize that they are, as Lloyd said, behind the rest of the civilized world on this issue. There is growing public opinion in the United States that circumcision needs to end, and pediatricians and other doctors, of course, need to be told to stop pushing parents like Nikki Sawyers, into circumcising their sons, into cutting the genitals of their sons, and we need to protect all children, every single baby born, from medically unnecessary and useless genital surgery. Again, thank you all for coming.